All right, so why don't we go to some honorable mentions, and I'll just rattle through a couple, if I may. Um,
Sure.
so John Swan. John Swan is the half brother of Jimmy Barnes. Sang for a band in Australia called Swanee, and also another band called the Party Boys, which featured status quo bass player Alan Lancaster and had a hit with He's Gonna Step on You Again. With beautiful tone, easily one of the best singers out of all that we've spoken about, kind of charismatic. Don't think he writes a lot of songs, which is probably a bit of a negative, but from a tonality and a vocal perspective, I think he would have been absolutely perfect for the role. Scottish, School of Hard Knocks, pub
Mm-hmm.
rock, definitely in the ballpark. Another one is Jimmy Barnes. Now, Jimmy said that he was never asked to be or to audition for ACDC. He's said that in many interviews, but I thought I'd be cheeky and we'll just include that. Just
Right.
imagine that the resume hits our desk. Great voice. He's in Cold Chisel, you know, which are, they're all songwriters, they're all lyricists. He's got so much charisma to burn. He's an Australian legend. Pub rock, Scottish heritage, School of Hard Rocks, a little bit younger. I could easily see that he could slot in. He's a stone cold candidate.
Oh,
But
absolutely. I was thinking about him.
we're being a little bit cheeky because he was never asked. So, but
Right.
I'm just putting it up there. I think it's been a bit of an urban legend that he was asked. And to be quite frank, I think on the con side was that he always had visions of making it as a solo artist,
Mm-hmm.
working class man, freight train heart, leaving Cold Chisel in the 1984 and trying to break it big in America. And he'd actually been asked to sing for Van Halen. He'd been asked to sing for Deep Purple. So a lot of people have asked him, but he wanted to sort of follow that solo career. So that would be a factor or a negative factor playing on the minds of quite a few is you're such a superstar, you're so charismatic. Are you too big for ACDC? Are you going to go down that solo route? Because we need somebody that's got some longevity. So anyway, that's two off the bat. What about you? Have you got a couple of honourable mentions?
Yes. Joe Elliott from Def Leppard. If you want a proof in the voice, listen to High and Dry. Their second album from 81. Now, by the time Bond had died, they would have been putting out their first album, On Through the Night. You already heard that grit in there. I thought it was even more so on the follow-up High and Dry. Plus, you had the Mutt Lange's production on there, too. So it definitely had that AC/DC sound. He has the charisma. Yes, he's young, but he'd have that charisma, but at the same time, he's only 21 at this point. The Youngs would probably rein him in, teach him the ropes, and I think he would fit. He would be able to write the lyrics, be able to write lyrics as well. I don't know so much on the Bond level. I don't know if it would be at that high level. Let's put it that way. I think he would be a decent fit. He was from Sheffield, so they don't have, culturally it would be different. I think it may have worked, but then everything gets twisted around. What happens to Def Leppard? And here's another thing. Would Joe have actually left Def Leppard? Because like AC/DC, they were family. When Rick Allen loses his arm, he's still there. 40 years later, still there. They stayed with their brother. How many bands would have done that? Yes, they got rid of Pete Willis early on, but Pete Willis and these guys were hard drinkers, Def Leppard back in the day. but Pete Willis was at another level from what I've always read. So I think Joe Elliott would have been a decent candidate. What do you think, Peter?
Yeah, and just to be fair to the viewers out there, he wasn't an audition. This is just a cheeky what if from John the
Yes,
Music
correct.
Nut.
Yes,
So don't start saying he didn't audition.
right. Yes, this is
Um,
just hypothetical.
Young, raw, and could be molded. Definitely, I think the on the con side is that there is definitely a loyalty with his friends that came up
Mhm.
through the tracks. Certainly, looking at the multi-million-dollar success of Def Leppard through the 80s, where, two of their albums are diamond certification, they can handle it. And arguably, they are on a level pegging with AC/DC in the record stakes. I think AC/DC are a bigger band because they had a later career and than what Def Leppard have. Def Leppard have kind of sort of continued on the fumes of those 80s albums, whereas AC/DC have continued to put out some albums that are kind of cross-generational and sell. So, but they're up there. Yep, strong candidate, mate. Strong candidate, but I think maybe youthfulness, experience, cultural. Yeah, maybe a little bit close, but no cigar. But vocally, yeah, it's got that sort of tonality. I think you get the feel, folks, with all the candidates that we've brought to the table. There's none of these Robert Plant sounding operatic singers. It's got to be somebody that's got a bit of grit in their voice, a little bit of rawness that suits the material. So no operatic rock singers.
That's right.
And I think that's what Malcolm and Angus had a distaste of those type of singers. So, all
Certainly.
right. And your last honourable mention?
Did not try out for them, but in my humble opinion, would have been the best fit for ACDC. Double A, no, not Arn Anderson, Angry Anderson from Rose Tattoo. They had their self-titled album in 1978. It hit number 40 in Australia. In the States, it was just the diehards that really bought it. Like, oh, I don't know, the guys in Guns N' Roses who took the song Bad Boys and put it out on their Live Like a Suicide EP, which later came out on the GNR Lies EP. Angry Anderson, to me, would have been a perfect fit. He had a dynamic personality, great voice, and gritty voice. He had the tattoos and all, but he would compliment Angus, just like Bond complimented Angus. Australian, first four albums, wrote by Rose Tattoo, produced by Vanda and Young, Harry Vanda and George Young.
Out of the family.
So part of the family again. They would have more success in Australia as time went on. They had some songs that would hit the top 40, like Bad Boy for Love, Rock and Roll Outlaw, One of the Boys. Their Scarred for Life album hit number 11. So they crossed over, but here, most people didn't know who they were. It was just real diehards. But I think sonically, he fits, visually he fits, vocally he fits, socially he fits. Family, again, I think he would have been the best fit for AC/DC if they did not hire Brian Johnson.
Well, my friend, you've convinced me because I think that's, yeah, I love Rose Tattoo, and I think that self-titled debut is one of the all-time great debut Australian albums or debut albums per se. Um, as a songwriter, socially observant, witty, street poet, charismatic, tough image, compliments Angus Young, compliments Malcolm Young, part of the Vander and Young family, pub rock pedigree. Sold!
There you go.
There we go. Well, there you go, folks. We've taken about 45 to 50 minutes and we come to the point. But all of these singers have their strong points, tonality, culturally, socially, charismatic, as being front people. But I think this has been really entertaining and really fun just to go through the various candidates. But at the end of the day, I think Brian Johnson was a good fit. You can see John the Music Nut on the Contrarians. You can see him on My Music Corner. Like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. Click the bell. One thing's for sure, that there are going to be plenty of more shows like this in 2024. Thank you to everybody. That's been the second year of Rock Daydream Nation, and we're still going strong, and we will still keep on going in 2024. So just look out for the content. See you later, John, and talk to you soon. Cheers.
Nice boys don't play rock and roll.